We are back with another Age of Mythology Retold casted game, but instead of a point of view series, today we are doing something slightly different, which is watching a mirror matchups. These players are both Isis, it's Tunison in the blue and Chemo in the red. Two very strong players, both in the top 30 or so of the ladder. And we can see how they play Isis. Now, whether or not they do the exact same thing, or whether they do something a little bit different, that's what we're going to see today is how is the best way to play Isis in an Isis mirror. So what Chemo is doing is what I would consider somewhat standard, although he isn't going for this early pickaxe. Now there's an idea where you can go for an early pickaxe with Isis where you just need to get 8 wood because you start with 100, and then if you see pickaxe here, which we can't see, it actually only costs an extra 8 wood and the 50 food, which you're basically going to be getting anyway because you've got so many on food. So an idea is you can get that very early by you come over to this tree here, whack it however many times to get 8, then come over and build the mining camp without even going home, and then your villager automatically drops off the wood resources into the mining camp. There's a little trick that you can do. I think it came from Age of Empires 4 and it works on Retold as well, but it looks like Chemo, what he's going to do is just drop it back and then go straight onto the gold, I would imagine. Very, very similar. And then Tunison, we didn't see what he did, but he did some kind of whacking with the olive tree here as well. Now, one better way, or one better thing that these players have done by going straight onto gold is it means they can drop the obelisk sooner. So if we see the point of view of Tunison here, we can see that he's actually got an obelisk up probably quicker than somebody that went for the wood first. And then if I know my controls here, Chemo has also already got these 2 obelisks up. Obelisks for Isis build quicker, and it's definitely something that you want to do with your priest. They build quicker, and they only cost 5 gold, so basically free to put up. But both players, pretty similar build so far. We've got more on the gold over for Chemo, which means he wants his Flood of the Nile much quicker. Flood of the Nile gets you 1 food per second, so the earlier you get it, basically the better it is. And if you're going for some kind of 1 town center play, then you definitely want to get that as soon as possible because it costs the same amount no matter when you get it. He's also going for 3 villagers to whack up the temple, which means he wants to advance pretty quickly. Probably doesn't need the 3, but Chemo's not normally known for his super early game build orders. Normally brings it out a little bit later is when he finds his advantage. I normally do 2 to put up the temple because 1 does take a very long time. Unless you're going for a very late advance time, then it's absolutely fine. So both of the players now have their Flood of the Nile in. And actually, the blue player, Tunison, has 1 on wood still. So actually, he didn't do this little chop over here. He decided to leave 1 on wood. Now, what does this give you? It gives you the chance to, if you wanted to go through Anubis, it means that you can get that necropolis to get more favor out quickly, because that costs a small amount of wood. It also means that you can get things like shaft mine when you get up to the heroic age, or something like husbandry to get increased food gather rate on your pigs and things like that. So it looks like Chemo did want the 3 on the temple because he wanted a fast advance time. You want a fast advance time if you want to get your town center up, because if you're going for 2 town centers, it just makes sense to advance as soon as possible. So actually this build was very good for exactly what he wanted to go for. So he's gone for the 13 on the gold, which means he'll be able to choose a town center. This town center, I guess, is okay. It gives you some food somewhat close, especially against the enemy Isis player, which is just going to have a Sphinx coming at you. If you have a priest around, you'll probably be fine. It looks like both players are going through bars. That Eclipse, especially paired with something like an Ancestors later on, could be very good. He's got 500 food, and then 500 gold, sorry. Just a couple extra to get the 550, and then the Pharaoh will run over with these 8 villagers to get town center. Now, Tunison going for a later advance time, so he's 30 seconds off. He went for a 5-minute advance time, which means his economy is in a better spot. But if he's going for a town center, which it looks like he is, he will be getting that up a little bit later. But not something that's you're really going to worry about. If you've got your Pharaoh there, you've got your priest that's probably going to be set up soon over on this side, then he'll be absolutely fine with that one. Probably getting just 2 less villagers. Sacred Cats coming through for Chemo, one of the best upgrades for me. I think this makes a massive difference. This gives you an extra 5% on farms and 10% on everything else. So if you're getting your pigs, if you're getting hunt, if you're getting chickens, whatever, you basically get a good upgrade, an increase of that for your food gather rate. And I just think it's absolutely massive. For 50 gold, 10 favor, It means that you get one less Sphinx, because I think a Sphinx is like 18 gold or something. So you do lose out on slower Sphinx if that's what you're going for. Looks like a little bit of a Sphinx fight. Priest coming over, and the Priest goes down to low HP. The priests don't do too much damage to these tanky Sphinx, so it looks like both trades are going to be very similar. I mean, Chemo's slightly winning that trade by having a healthy priest, but they're all the same speed, so he's going to be able to run away and probably not deal too much damage to the Sphinx there. Unfortunately, they were in the same control group, that Sphinx and the priest, so they did slow down a little bit, but obviously nothing you can really, no advantage you're really going to get there. So town center coming up is going to be slightly delayed, so as we can see, Chemo is 2 villages ahead, going to be 3 villages ahead by the time this comes up. So that is the difference between the early advance time to the late advance time. But not too much. Are there any barracks coming up at all? I wouldn't expect anything. I just want to zoom out so see if we can see any barracks. There is an idea of getting a couple of barracks out to get some spearmen, just to do some raids. If you just come over here with 3 spearmen, you can come and raid. It's something that I like to do a little bit later on. Not necessarily in an ISIS mirror, but just playing ISIS in general. I think it's good to get those guys out. But you can just not build a barracks and get a Sphinx and do probably a very similar job, or even just use your early Sphinx. Both players deciding to heal their early Sphinx back up. We're getting husbandry and sacred cats on the side of Tunison, which is exactly what we said this lumber camp was for getting those husbandries out. And Chemo's decided to put one on wood as well. Nice little cheeky wall over here. There's actually quite a lot of food over here, so it's got not just the gazelles, but a decent amount of berries. You get 150 per berry bush, so nine of those will definitely be enough to get up to the next age, which is what he's going for. Nepthy's coming through quicker because he got his villagers out slightly quicker, although it just looks like Tunison maybe isn't prioritizing it as quickly. Almost decided Hathor there. There is an idea with Hathor, if you're going for the camels, so if there's some kind of camel war happening, then Hathor, or Sobek I should say, is definitely the better choice for that, because you get your extra regen on your camels. I think it also gives HP. I could be wrong on that. It gives HP or damage, I can't remember which one. But it's basically better for your camels. If it's like a fast Osiris game, then that's you'll be better off there going through Sobek. But Nepthy's come through soon. Hand axe and the axe coming through for extra wood. So probably some kind of chariot archers for Chemo is going to be the choice. Lots of good walls coming up here. Walls to secure this side as well. Probably a Migdal is going to get slapped down here. Maybe on this, maybe around here. For Chemo. Neither player using their prosperity yet, and it does get dropped down this side. Neither player using this. The idea, there are 2 ideas with the prosperity. You could have dropped it down while you're going up to the heroic age, and then you'll be able to drop down 2 Migdals, 3 Migdals, or you can save it for when you have shaft mine in, which it looks like that's what Chemo's doing, because then it basically just accelerates how much gold you can get, and you obviously have more villagers out later on. Now the choice going to be go straight to the Mythic age, or do something in the heroic age with a decent amount of chariots, some camels out, something like that. And same upgrades coming through just a little bit later for Tunison here, and Shaft Mine coming out as well. Also deciding to get some priests out. Good idea if you're ever in the Isis mirror and we see Ancestors Eclipse. Handful of priests will be able to deal with those ancestors, no problem. I think 4 is a decent amount. Is also deciding to get Nebti, which is the extra damage for the priests. I used to think this was a massive deal, because in the original game, it really was a huge deal. It was a massive bonus. But now these guys get divine damage against myth units anyway, so it's like they do decently in the heroic age anyway. Scorpion Man looking for an Ancestors Eclipse. But the Sphinx and Scorpion Man over here. Surprised to see both players not really going for many monuments. So we see 3 monuments just come up for Tunison. Ancestors Eclipse coming down, trying to get some villager kills and potentially go for that town center. Does see Scorpion Man and Sphinx here. Does manage to cause some idle time, finding a handful of villagers. Scorpion Man didn't get his special off there, so not too much going down, but some idle time being caused. Can take villagers down pretty quickly if he really wants to. Prosperity coming down as well for Tunison on the gold mine over here. Should be fine. Priests in position. Mr. Pharaoh there. And the villagers It looks like there's not too much damage caused by this Ancestors Eclipse. A really good play just to get those priests out. Maybe might get a little bit of idle time caused there, but I mean, how many villagers have really gone down here? I think there was 2 earlier. Looks like we're seeing an early Thoth. Thoth queued up for Tunison as well, so Thoth seems to be the god of choice rather than going for the camels, going for the Meteor, Phoenix, which aren't really sought after myth units, but more likely the Valley of the Kings, meaning if your Pharaoh is empowering a Migdal stronghold, you get 2 of whatever unit comes out. So if you queue up one elephant and your Pharaoh is on this, you get 2 elephants out. And it ends up being very, very strong if you can get those upgrades out to get them out quicker. The Levy and Conscript upgrades ends up being very, very strong. Second gold mine being secured by Chemo here, just with the 1 villager on this Migdal. It must have been there ages. Almost finished, got 10 seconds left. Must have taken a while. I assume Tunison will decide to do the same as well, kind of spread out. You don't want to, especially against a Meteor, you don't want to put all your Migdal strongholds in one place. If there was 2 Migdals here, you can just Meteor it and more than likely get 2 down. But Monument to the Priest coming up to stop that happening. Monument to the Pharaoh is coming up to stop that happening as well. If the Pharaoh wants to empower this, the radius of this just gets huge, and it means you can't drop a Migdal down. So very heads-up play by both of these players, realizing exactly what's to come. And something that you can do in Retold as well, if you drop this Monument to the Priests down and you've only just started it, you can start the next monument anyway. You can start all the monuments without even finishing the next, or finishing it off. Whereas the old game, you'd have to finish it before you can queue up the next one. So he could also drop a monument to the pharaohs here, or priests, I should say. Deciding for the camels, though, camels are very strong even without the upgrades. They're just all-around good units. The only unit to counter the camels are camels themselves or spearmen, and Isis gets no spearman upgrades unless going through Anubis, where she gets those poison damage spearmen. I call them Spearos. Too much Pokemon on my mind. Still managing to hunt as well, so 13 minutes in, or 12 minutes in, sorry, still hunting. Looking for a Meteor, but Monument to the Pharaoh's up. The radius is about... Can I press Alt to hit this one? Maybe if I am... Yes, I need to change the Tunison's perspective, so a decent circle here. Looks like there is an Ancestors Eclipse here to stop the settlement going up. Priests are in position to stop this. As we said, both players are used to... I mean, if they're Isis players themselves, they're obviously going to be used to what Isis shenanigery can kind of really come through. Migdal Stronghold coming up on this side. No monument there, though. Also deciding to get a second Scorpion Man out. Something you don't see as much is the Scorpion Men coming. Normally it's Sphinx and Sphinx upgrades, but Scorpion Men are very, very strong, especially in Eclipse. Unfortunately, they're kind of getting body blocked by their own units there, not being able to get through. But luckily for Tunison here, the Chemo priests weren't targeting them down, but they are now. But managing to stop the gold for a while. There's still 1,500 left in this gold mine, but this is the only second secured gold mine for Chemo, so he's got to really try and get some Migdals up on the next gold mines as well, or try and just defend this one. Champion Camels coming in. This is Chemo's advantage of going up slightly quicker. Champion Camels not in yet for Tunison, so this is where Chemo needs to get an advantage. Champion upgrades are huge. They give so much. Oh, looks like there is a Meteor coming down here because there wasn't the monument, so Migdal Stronghold will be going down, and if any units decide to sit here as well, they are going to go straight down. Meteor does a lot of damage, divine damage. And there's a Meteor coming down this side, deciding to use it on the units rather than the Migdal, because obviously the Monument to the Pharaoh is stopping that. So in the Meteor battle, I think Tunison definitely won that because he got one Migdal down plus a decent amount of units, whereas Chemo just really got the unit value there. Valley of the Kings coming through over here, and I assume Valley of the Kings is already in. I don't know where you see that. I assume I missed it. Maybe I need to go like this. Yes, it is already in for Chemo. And he's also getting this upgrade, Book of Thoth, which is 10% extra gather rate for everything. Very strong upgrade, very expensive, 30 favor, especially as he's only got the 3 monuments. But yeah, very expensive, but worth it if you're going for a long game. It makes Isis actually, her eco pretty strong, even comparable to someone like Ra if she gets this upgrade. And this is the power of these camels. you don't really need siege when you have the camels. They have so much damage, and they can take out units very, very quickly. And they're obviously gonna counter the chariots and also counter the elephants as well. I think elephants are stronger in general, but I mean these guys are just so fast, 6 speed. But it looks like Tunison is getting up this Migdal stronghold up here, is going to be spotted by these camels, but I think they're going to be a bit late. 5 seconds. They might get 1 villager kill, but actually not managing to... Oh no, does get 1 villager kill. Must be looking somewhere else, but still manages to get the Migdal up, so these guys will go down, even if a couple of kills happen. I mean, it's not a big deal. Tunison does have a lot more villagers, actually, than Chemo. Chemo lost a lot of villagers on that meteor attack there. A little bit of a raid coming over, but I think Chemo is going to lose these camels here. So it looks like both players are going for a very similar strategy, just deciding to go mass camels until somebody decides to do something else, even without the upgrade. Maybe Hathor might have been a good choice, because you want to go through Thoth to get the meteor damage and get the Valley of the Kings, but these guys could also have their regen and extra HP, which is what I believe it is. I'm just going to claim that for now. But Chemo is the one getting the raids done, and it looks like Chemo just wins that one. So he was the one getting all these raids in, whereas Tunison was kind of on the back foot. I mean, the one difference between Chemo's playstyle here to Tunison's was he was just quicker with everything. He went for the faster advance time. He went for the 4-minute instead of the 5-minute, which means he had a villager advantage because you can get your town center up a little bit quicker. But both players did basically do a very similar strategy, upgrades at similar times, but just being able to have that aggression, even with the meteor that wasn't really as valuable as Tunison's one there. If we can look at the timeline, let me just look at the military resource count. But if we look at the civilian units, you could see that Chemo was just ahead of poor Moose the whole way until he obviously had that meteor. But that was the game changer there. If you want to see more of these mirror matchup type videos, then let me know, and I'll see you in the next one.